Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. I hope you watched that first episode with Burton because we showed you how to go deep in your buy box. I appreciate all the time, man. Thank you for doing that.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Well, again, as somebody who sold big data platforms and helped companies leverage their big data, we are going to take some questions that I know investors want because they are looking for deals and opportunities. You ready to go for round two?
Oh, let's go for it.
All right, so round two is going to be the same zip code. We're just going to use the same one. Again, it's a zip code I know nothing about, but we're going to give it a shot. For folks that you don't know, that was 63111. But what we're going to do here is we're going to look for out-of-town owners, and I'm going to say out-of-state. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go, you've owned for 10 years. Why 10 years? Because I want to find the buyers who bought during the last crash. They must be sitting on gobs of equity. Maybe they're getting crushed by this eviction moratorium, and I want to know who they are. So Burton, you got a challenge on your hand. Let's see what happens. You want to start sharing your screen and show me what you got?
Absolutely. Let's go for it. So I do have the zip code in front of me right here.
Okay.
So the first thing that we're going to want to do is after we get our results, go immediately into the filter.
Okay.
Now you said out of town and you mentioned out of state. We also, which can be found in our ownership info here, it's called absentee owner's location.
Oh,
so the first thing before we even touch this is we want to identify that the property is a non-owner occupied property. Otherwise, how could the owner be in a different town?
Yeah,
right.
Good idea.
But in your scenario, you did mention out of state, but just want to let everybody know you can also identify out of county.
Oh my God. Look at that. So again,
so
right?
Local, out of county, or out of state. We'll give you the option.
So let's do out of state. Because
Perfect.
again, what I'm thinking is right. I'm thinking about some California guy who was buying in St. Louis 10 years ago, bunch of equity. Maybe they're frustrated. That's who I'm trying to get to. But out of county is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's smart, actually. And then you mentioned, was it minimum 10 years of ownership? Correct?
Yeah, I want people that bought
perfect.
in 2000, before 2010, 11. So 10 years.
There you go. So it would be years of ownership, and we would apply a minimum. So 10 years, and then that would look for 10 years or more. Now, we kept mentioning individuals or people. Right. Another cool feature is we let you identify owner type. So this will allow you to separate properties that are actually under a person's name versus. All right,
let's do individual. LLC. Let's try an individual.
So here we go. Oh. These are our 38 non-owner occupied properties where the owner who owns this property lives in a different state, has owned it for 10 years, like potentially before the crash, and it's owned by an individual.
All right, so I'm gonna try to trip you up now.
Okay.
How about somebody that has more than 50% equity?
Okay, so that would be found in our valuation and equity section right over here. And we thought of everything. So you can actually search by a dollar amount or by a percentage. So since you mentioned 50% or more, we'll do 50% minimum there. And that removes 9 properties out of our 38, dropping us down to 29.
How about somebody that owns it free and clear?
Free and clear would actually be in our mortgage section. So click on mortgage section, and this you can see if someone bought it in cash at one point, or in your example, free and clear. Let's go ahead and include those. So now we're 18 properties removed. We're down to 20 properties.
So I got my buy box. I know it's an out of state owner, not only out of county. So they're in another state. They purchased the property at least before the last. Actually, you know what? Let's do 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, I love it. And as a matter of fact, just because we thought about it, you can even specify the sell date.
Oh my goodness!
Bought it before 2008, right? So in this case, we'll do 15 minimum.
No, 10 to 15.
10 to 15. Oh, I'm sorry. So
I want to try to get like an over and under
15. There you go. So now it forces it down to 9. So exactly 9 properties have been owned between 10 to 15 years.
So the reason I did that is now we know they bought during the crash.
I love that. I love that.
Again, this is pretty cool. All right. So let's just pick on one. So let's I don't know. Let's find the biggest price. So I see 180. Let's pick on that one.
Yeah. So the 180 is right over here, Ohio Street.
Yeah.
And what you'll be able to do before we even get into the details, we give you pick view, which is the layout we see here. List view is like a little kind of a Excel sheet. And finally, we give you the spreadsheet view, which is this little tab right here. And you can see it like an Excel sheet before you get to the Excel sheet itself, which is exporting.
You are fancy.
since you're referring to the 180, which is right over here, notice that each address is kind of like a hyperlink, which is great for you because now you can click on that property and get into our property details. Every property that you click on, over 153 million records in our system are going to populate just like this. And immediately you're going to be able to get everything we have on this property.
So we know who owns it.
Land.
They're out of state. Oh,
so it's a residential vacant land that's owned. It has it's owned
so this
by
is vacant
individual.
land. So let's go find a house.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I think the reason for that is we didn't put a bedrooms or bathroom, but here's one right here.
There you go.
159. So let's click on Grand Avenue. And here we go. So here's a property. We now know it's owned. So what we're seeing here is what we call our detail tabs.
Yep.
So all of our records that we collect from different providers on an individual property is separated into these separate tabs. So we'll begin with like the property details. The importance here, I know the owner's names. I know their mailing address, which is going to be different than the rental property that they're working on. Property characteristics, land location information like zoning sometimes is available. Not every county provides that. School district, maybe you can use that to build relationship, legal description, tax information, and that's just the property details. We'll show you homeowner situational data, which is like, hey, they put the property on market and it's currently pending right now. It's an on-market property. So this may not be a good lead, but we never know, it may not sell. So we can just keep it on the back burner.
Yeah, the whole idea here is I don't want to blow these people up with mail or anything. I'm glad it's pending. It means it's about to be sold to someone else, which is
absolutely
awesome. But yeah, the idea here is you're pulling data from lots of places. We've got banks in there. We have title at the county. Folks, again, if you have a buy box, which is what we talked about in episode 1, you're going to be able to go to a level of granularity in a system like this, like never before. And oh, by the way, you'll be able to market after, right? Because the whole idea in here is what is your theory as an investor? So in my case, this example I entirely made up about a zip code I know nothing about is they bought during the crash. They own it free and clear. They own it as an individual, not a corporation. I mean, it's just one example of what likely could be dozens. Oh, and they own out of state as well.
Right.
So that's pretty cool. Wow. All right. What else should people be thinking about in this kind of like, cause out of state is always like, you must, lots of people use that as like the search, right? I want out of state owners. I want to market to out of state owners.
Yeah, no. So after doing this for like nearly 10 years and working with all sorts of investors and, listening to their strategies and, working with short sellers and lenders and wholesalers, like I finally came to realize like what you really are looking for is just a situation, like a situation a homeowner is going through. And the ones that you've provided were really, really good. And that's really it. Like you just have to sit there and think of a situation. And once you can think of a situation, our filter should hopefully be able to accommodate it. Like here's a situation. The fact that you said, hey, I'm looking for homeowners who bought before the crash. They either have lots of equity or they're dealing with, tenants and the moratorium thing, right? Well, let's look for a different audience. Instead of the ones that were before the crash, what we can do is look for ones that have only owned it for 2 to 5 years. So they actually bought it before the pandemic. So they bought a property before the pandemic. It's an individual. They live in a different state. So same criteria like you are. And instead of free and clear, we'll add more motivation by saying you have an open mortgage instead. So while your tenant has been paying the bill, you're in a different state paying the bill. Because that's the situation that unfolded in the last 2 to 5 years of owning this property. And because we have the data connected, it allows you to create these scenarios. And this isn't a list, just like your search wasn't a list. It's just a situation that we're able to create. So you were aiming for before the crash of 08, free and clear. I'm aiming for before the pandemic with a mortgage. And so hopefully we can take over that mortgage or cash it out, now take a property, and then we'll handle the tenants. And I know tons of buyers that will take care of a tenant or wait on the tenant until things settle down and then they do the process, right? So that's the concept. It's think of situations, think of problems people go through, and hopefully our filters can accommodate those situations.
Yeah. So again, I love that idea of situations. Think about your situations. And then once you get the list refined, we talked about it in our initial episode, but people can do direct marketing from the system, correct?
That's correct. Once you get your results here on the right side, you'll be able to select them and create a list. It's called add to list.
Yeah.
So here I'll be able to create a new list, the 6331, pandemic list,
There you go.
and then hit save. From there, to your point, absolutely. Not only do we have direct mail, we actually have the ability to skip trace the list. And for those that don't know what that is, that's taking this list of 30 properties I just created and within 2-3 minutes, getting a cell phone, a landline, or an email that's been publicly recorded from the homeowner, right?
That's awesome.
So it's only 12 cents, 10 cents if you have a certain package, but for everybody that's just starting, 12 cents if it gets results.
Right.
If the address doesn't get any results, we don't charge it.
So at this point, we're talking I like to do math, right? Here, yes. Assuming all 30 records came back, you're going to spend $3.60.
That's correct. Yeah, $3
to get phone numbers.
And that to me is mind blowing, because if we didn't have that capability, we only have just addresses in front of us. So we would have to knock on a door or set up our own postcards and send them out. And if they ever call us back, that's when we, but now for $3.60, I get a phone number in 2 minutes and I can call in 15 minutes and get a response today and see if they're interested in selling today. So $3.60 would probably be the most powerful investment one could make on a list like this right now.
Again, folks, there's a link below to a 7-day trial, get a discount with the service, all that stuff, because you're part of the One Rental at a Time family. We are going to be adding videos to my course because, again, big data is a big thing. So Burton's going to record some stuff for the course as well. But man, this is awesome. And again, you could do direct mail if you wanted to, right?
That's correct. So following the skip tracing capability would be our campaign area. In the campaign area, you can establish as many active campaigns as your heart desires. So as you can see here in my account, I have an auctions campaign, I have a Colorado campaign, I have a buyers campaign. And the benefit with each campaign is when you establish a campaign, it's only for just that marketing list of 75 or 30 individuals. And on top of your campaign, we'll give you a free landing page for your list. The idea is that I don't need to talk to these 75 people if I didn't want to. Right. I can actually funnel them to a landing page that says, hey, I buy houses in cash. We close in 30 days because you're in an auction. Fill out the application. So we do give you a complimentary landing page if you need it. You don't have to create it if you don't want to. But once you decide to create that landing page or not, to Michael's point, now I can send them a postcard, and we have templates where you can upload your own ringless voicemails as well as email marketing.
Very cool, man. This has been a lot of fun. I look forward to episode number 3, where I'm going to try to trip you up, but it doesn't look like that's going to be possible. So again, folks, link below. Amazing stuff. Burton, thank you, buddy.
Absolutely.